Stallion, on this episode, we get to the point of what are the major problems people need to overcome in order to become financially free. We talk about the big three, right? The mistake of investing money in a qualified retirement account. Number two, trying to pay off debts instead of building income producing assets. And number three, using a lazy cash system. But that's not all we talk about. We also talk about how we help people become financially free faster. What are some of those examples and stories we talked about?
Oh man, how do people build their own cash flow system? Secondly, what are the specific ways people are building passive income right now? And thirdly, how they're joining together with people like-minded to become the best investor that they can be.
If you want to know all these things, this is an episode for you to not only listen to, but also share with a friend that you've been trying to explain to them what Wealth Without Wall Street actually does and how it's helping you. Stallion, sit down in your chair. Let's pull up to the table and belly up.
Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let these handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Now here are your hosts, Russ Morgan and Joey Murray.
Welcome into the Financial Freedom Roundtable, where each week we break down complex financial topics so that you can more easily understand them and, more importantly, take action on your path to becoming financially free. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Grateful to have you in the room. I'm Russ Morgan. They call me the idea guy, mostly because lack of follow-through guy just didn't sound so cool to me. But enough about me for a moment. Let me introduce you to my co-host, my partner. He's the Italian Stallion. He's got the license plate cover to prove it, Mr. Joey Murray. Stallion, good afternoon.
Hello, my brother. How are you?
Man, I'm better. I love when we get a chance to get on the roundtable. We get to break down topics, and specifically ones that people have asked us to cover, like how does Wealth Without Wall Street help me become financially free? How do you answer that, Joey?
Well, first of all, it's a great question because whoever you're listening to, wherever you're searching for the answer for this question, needs to be able to very clearly and succinctly tell you how this is possible, because ultimately they are your guide, right? If you don't have a guide, the chances of you getting to your destination are slim to none. And so my question is, do you have a guide? Do you have a guide that is actually aligned with you culturally, philosophically? Like, do you have the right guide? And that's what we're hoping to answer today is, if we're not the right one, find the right one, but at least to give you how we look at it.
I love that. And here's the thing. A lot of times I don't think we even have a definition of what financially free is. So it's hard to determine who can help me get there, because we're seeking this accumulation approach, right? Wall Street has built this model where you try to accumulate millions of dollars in qualified retirement plans, and you are hoping that that's going to get you to financial freedom. And what people find out is when they're 65 and 75 years old, that they don't have enough money, because taking out 3 or 4% out of that account each and every year is a fraction of what they need to become actually free. So they end up having to continue to trade money, which is what they've been doing. Trading time for money, is what they've been doing this whole time to try to build up the nest egg. And understanding that financial freedom is when you have more passive income, that's money that you don't have to go to work for, then you have monthly expenses. And I think once you understand that formula, it becomes much easier to get there. But Joey, thankfully, you and I are not the only ones breaking down this topic, are we?
No. Let's get to the coaches,
Man, to my left, I got Mr. Incredible. His superpower is speed to financial freedom. And the real beauty is that speed's contagious. My man, Mr. JD Hill. Say hello to your fans, JD.
Hey, fans. It is mustache April right now. And Russ, I must ask you a question.
Okay, bring it on.
No, I'm kidding. I am really excited to be talking about this. One, because I come out of this world, right? The traditional model. So I get a chance and a perspective to speak on it from both sides. So I'm really excited to be talking about this particular topic.
Well, that is a solid mustache, and I didn't know if that was a statement or you lost a bet.
I didn't lose a bet. This was my choice. So
your lip, your choice, bro.
that's right.
Hey, that's fine with me, man. You know, like there's some famous detectives that wore mustaches.
That's
you know,
right.
Magnum PI, right?
Yeah.
So
Inspector Gadget, you know.
Right. Let's get to let's dig into this problem, which is why are we covering how does Wealth Without Wall Street help me? Why do you think that's so important for us to cover today?
I think it's important because there's an abundance of noise in the marketplace, and the reality is that there's two paths to choose from. There's our path, what we teach, that has quantifiable and verifiable results, and then there's everyone else's path, and that's the path that I used to teach, and the path that I used to be down on, or be going down on, with no verifiable results to prove. And so I think that's why it's so important, so people understand what those two paths are and what the differences are.
All right. Okay. Well, speaking of detective, I got the true financial Sherlock Holmes every day. No problem too difficult to solve. If I'd only known him earlier, I'd be so much richer, said everyone. Mr. Downtown Ernie Brown. Nice to see you, Ern.
It is good to be seen.
You
bringing
went
me
without
back.
the mustache today.
No mustache today, but actually, I was thinking Magnum PI that he had a thick old mustache. I don't know if we could qualify Mr. Incredible's stash as a Magnum. Did Steve Martin have a mustache in Pink Panther? If he did, that's what I'm imagining.
He did. He did have a little bit of a French mustache.
That's right.
Yes.
This is French inspired, by the way. So
Ern, why do you think it's so important for us to be covering this topic today?
Well, I'll take the Ricky Bobby approach. I want to go fast. I talk to people all the time on phone calls who want to go fast, but for the last decade have been stuck in the mud and no verifiable results in their plan, moving them forward, likely because they've lacked the ability to align decision after decision to help them make progress towards their goal. And whether they had a goal or not, I think we're connecting at this point because they're realizing, hey, all this time that's slipping by, my kids who are growing older and soon to be leaving, this time with my spouse, I don't want to defer these good years in hopes that one day when our health is all broken down and we don't have as much energy as we do now, they'd rather have that, take advantage of that now rather than later. And they feel like they just want to go fast, but don't necessarily know if they can accomplish it. And to Joey's point, looking for a guide to help them with confidence get on the fast track.
So good. All right, we got one more coach in the house. Let me bring him in. The king of Beham, Mr. Real Estate himself. He's agnostic to his type as long as it produces cash flow. The multi-talented Jamie O'Brien. Good to see you today, Jamie.
Man, Russ, good to be here. Just enjoying another day in paradise, my friend.
Tell me, why do you believe this is so important for us to be covering about how Wealth Without Wall Street helped me become financially free?
Yeah, I think time is of the essence, Russ. I unfortunately, without getting into details, I've been reminded that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so Nelson Nash used to say the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, and the best next time is now. And so, I mean, my question to the listeners is how long are you going to delay taking action to achieve your goals? Because again, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's a great point. If what you thought to be true turned out to not to be true, when would you want to know, right? Like if what you've been working on to become financially free wasn't getting you there, would you want to know that quicker than later, right? Sooner than later.
Soon as possible.
All right. Let's jump into the meat of today's podcast. I want to break this down for everybody. So we're going to cover three main things. What are the problems that Wealth Without Wall Street helps you overcome, right? We get to hear so many people share what they believe are the obstacles, the issues that are keeping them from becoming financially free. And we're going to narrow those down for you. So you can like hear them, that you're probably going to relate to most of them. And hopefully because of what those problems are, we're going to give you solutions to how people are actually becoming financially free. Because there's really three very distinct ways that we help people become financially free or assist them on their path to becoming financially free. We're going to break those down in point number 2. And then third, I think it's important just so that everybody's clear of what is it that Wealth Without Wall Street believes. And we take this approach of helping people become financially free very personally. And so personally that each and every week when we get together as a team, we go through the things that we believe. And we want to talk about those, but more importantly, not just what we think and believe, but what does that do for you? Why is that so important? And how do we see it playing out, helping you, being a team member, being a coach alongside of you, helping you achieve things that you never thought were possible? So I'm coming to you first, Ern. Let's talk about what is a problem that you're hearing people as you get on the calls with them. What are some of those problems? What's at least one of those problems you're hearing and helping people overcome?
Yeah, well, I think this one had to distill it. I don't necessarily have people telling me this word for word, but I think I take all these symptoms and I put it together in what I would say is lack of confidence in making financial decisions. And that certainly happens with people who we are beginning to help, looking to begin to help. But it's also true of our community members who we're presently helping, who exist in our masterminds, of lack of confidence in making financial decisions. And so I just think about over the past 2 months, I can remember being on 2 mastermind calls with these guys who have been building their own businesses, and that's been very active, trading time for money, looking to start rather than continuing to build that, taking cash and building assets around that business that create passive cash flow, and them wrestling through making a very specific decision. And so in this instance, these guys are a little bit further down the path, right? They've started stacking decisions that are getting them closer to put them in this position, but they're still looking to make a good and wise decision and gain confidence in doing this. And so the benefit for them of being in these mastermind calls and talking to other community members in our breakout rooms, just addressing, just bringing to the table, here's what I'm thinking about. What do you guys think about this? Man, that's been, to get feedback from that, they've gained tons of confidence so that they can keep making decisions that get them closer to financial freedom.
It's so true. I love that. I mean, there's so many things that we need to learn, right, along this road. But for some of us, right, like you were mentioning, some of those people who've been doing this for a long time, or people maybe like myself who comes out of a financial background, there's things that I have to unlearn. And I think one of the biggest problems that we're helping people do is unlearn a lot of the issues that, or the things that they thought to be true before. And I know for me, that was super hard, right? When you have those things ingrained in your mind, it's hard to get out of that rut and get back onto another pathway.
There was nothing worse than walking into class when you're in school and the teacher saying, pop quiz day. Why? Because you were unprepared. Are you unprepared though for financial freedom?
Don't be. Find out how close you are by taking our 30-second quiz at wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/quiz.
Jamie, how about for you? What's one of the problems that you believe we help people solve?
Man, Russ, exactly to your point about unlearning. You know, one thing we talk through a lot with clients is what we call the big 3 mistakes, right? So contributing to retirement accounts, does that get you closer to or further away from your goals of financial freedom today, right? Just thinking through that scenario, is that cash flow helping or hurting your current situation? Paying off debts instead of building assets. Had a call actually this morning with a lady who said, I thought financial freedom was being debt free. You know, that was her opinion of what financial freedom was. And it was just amazing to walk through that call with her and see that mindset shift of, you know, maybe I've been doing it wrong. And I was like, there's no wrong. There just is, if you didn't have a better option, it just, maybe that was the best option at the time. But seeing her, just watching her kind of see that maybe she could be doing something else with those dollars that would actually build that passive income to get to financial freedom was a really cool experience. And then using a lazy cash system. I can't tell you how many calls I've been in where we work with people who have been historically great savers and have done really well for themselves. And that's amazing. And to Ernie's point, they just lacked the confidence to go and do something else with that capital. It was just sitting there doing nothing for them in the big scheme of what our ultimate goal is, to help people build financial freedom. So, those three are really important. It's really fun to be a part of that process of kind of helping people think through what their dollars are doing for them.
Oh, man. I love that. How about you, JD? What do you think is one of the big problems and you are helping somebody overcome?
I would say clarity. And what I mean specifically is clarity on what's possible. So as a traditional financial advisor, right, coming out of that space, I would have zero real way of being able to differentiate myself in the marketplace from another financial advisor outside of lower fees or some neater, cooler, diversified portfolio. But none of those things ever actually gave anybody actual clarity on how to achieve what it was that they were wanting to achieve. In fact, oftentimes what we were teaching people how to do was defer what it was that they were ultimately wanting to accomplish faster. And being able to work with people every single day and teach them how to have clarity around what's possible and that they can actually achieve it significantly faster than they thought possible. I'll give you an example. I was talking with a client a couple weeks ago, and he was going through one of our courses that we put together. And one of the things that he had talked about was, I want to be financially free in 7 years. And the question was, well, why 7, right? Why not faster? Why not in 5 years? Why not in 3 years? And he's like, what do you mean? And so for us to be able to ask those questions, to challenge people that, you can do that faster, right? And to give them the motivation, but the framework on how to do it is so rewarding, to be able to watch people make that paradigm shift and then start taking the steps necessary in order to get there. So for me, I think it's clarity of what's possible, to know that, you mean I don't have to wait until I'm 65? I can do this when I'm 40? Yes. The answer is yes, you can.
Man, I remember a guy named Jonathan is in our Passive Income Mastermind. He came up to me one time. He said, man, I know I'm in the right room.
Yeah.
Because when I feel like I'm at a level now when I'm rubbing shoulders with people like JD, like Ernie, like Joey and Jamie, and all the others in the mastermind. He goes, I know I'm in the right room, because if I brought an idea when I first got here, I knew that idea would be good for me. But one of you guys would have taken me underneath your arm and said, that's cute. Man, let me show you what's possible. Let me show you what I see from the vantage point and the experiences I've been able to have. He goes, that's when I knew I was in the right room, because my lid was raised. The opportunities were so much further than what I could have imagined, what I could have been able to build had I not be in that room. So I love what you just said there, Jay. So cool. How about for you, Joey?
Yeah, I'm gonna break down for you like what I believe, and we've said this before, the 5 parts of a deal look like. And this is one of those things that I think, to kind of continue on this conversation of exposure and clarity and those type of things, if there's one thing that we really do well, it's this: break down a deal by money, opportunity, time, experience, and relationship. Right? If you've been in a position where you're like, man, I'd love to be financially free, but I really only know about maybe buying a piece of rental property and, how to put money down on it, get a traditional mortgage, all these things. It seems really, really small and narrow as to what's possible. But when we look at a deal from those angles, right? Money, opportunity, time, experience, and relationship, what does Wealth Without Wall Street actually provide to you? But access to all of those things, right? We're talking about one of the things we build is a personal cash flow system. What Jamie mentioned is figuring out what you're doing with your money. Is it getting you closer to or farther from financial freedom? So we're going to cover the money aspect of that. opportunity. When you're in these masterminds, you're getting access to deals that you would have never even known about. I mean, how many people, one of the guys in our Inner Circle Plus last week just mentioned how by one move he made this year, or in the last 2 weeks, he will create a tax benefit that will reduce his taxable income and subsequently move him to 22 to 44% of his passive income goal. One move this year. And did he know about it before he joined this? No. But by being a part of this and then being able to talk to these other investors in the Inner Circle Plus, he was like, oh, well, this is going to help me get to my goal. And this is aligned with my vision. So he now has opportunities. The relationship is the last part I'll talk about in that MOTER kind of acronym. And that's relationship with other investors. That's relationship with other people who you can invest with, like people that syndicate deals, like the opportunity that gentleman was able to invest in came as a relationship. Now he has a relationship with that operator. And that's something he would have never had outside of that. Coming to these events that we put on, like the Inner Circle Live that's going on in April, end of April. All of these things are relationships that go beyond just the value of what you're paying, to be a part of this group. So anyways, those are the things I feel like we solve is you can immediately get all of these things by engaging with Wealth Without Wall Street.
That's super good. It's so important to know what it's like to be able to do a deal, right? I think so many people don't understand what's possible, and they think, "Well, I don't have access to these opportunities." All right, let's move on to the next section here. I want to cover what are. Sorry, guys, my guy's cleaning out trees behind my house, so if you guys can hear that, I apologize for that. How do we help people become financially free, get there faster, right? Like there's lots of ways to get to financial freedom, but how do we help people get there faster?
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this, Russ. Thank you for asking that question. I think one of the ways that we help people do it is by becoming a better investor. And again, I always go back to my experience because that's what I can speak from the best. Most people don't know what type of investor they are. And so what they do is they look at a chart of mutual funds, and they usually say, well, which one's got the highest rate of return over the longest period of time? And they say, I'll pick that one, right? And so what happens is when you start looking at passive income opportunities, there are so many options that you can choose from. It's hard to know which one actually fits what we would say is in your buy box. And so we have an investor DNA that allows people to get a little more clarity on what type of investor they actually are. And so I'll give you an example. I've got a client who, admittedly, he'll tell you that he loves to chase shiny objects. And so any opportunity that comes in front of him, he's all over it all the time. And largely what he's looking at is just the bottom line rate of return. And so one of the things that he realized is that he was looking at short-term rentals. Love the opportunity, love the cash flow. It was far better than doing a long-term rental cash flow wise. So he got into the short-term rental business, and probably about 6 to 12 months into it, what he realized is that he hated it. Well, the reason why he hated it is because he didn't realize that it was a hospitality business that he was getting into. And whenever we walked him through his investor DNA and he was able to see on paper how he's wired and that the cons of investing in a short-term rental business, right, for somebody wired how he is that it's actually in the hospitality business. He didn't like the fact that people would message him and ask him absurd questions like, how do I get to the backyard? This is a true story. Like people would literally ask these absurd questions. And so I think once we can help you identify what type of passive income investor you are and what your buy box is, you can avoid making a lot of costly mistakes investing in things just based on numbers rather than based on personality and how you're wired.
Oh, there's so much truth to that. What about you, Ern? What is another way that Wealth Without Wall Street can help people get there faster?
Yeah, we help people build their own personal cash flow system. And what we mean by that is creating a system where you can purposely, repeatedly, consistently pool cash into your control to more quickly, more effectively create passive income from. And we have had the privilege, for most of us being here in Birmingham, of being mentored and in relationship with Nelson Nash, who came up with the infinite banking concept, or the process of becoming your own banker. And we help people implement that strategy, usually specifically to become financially free, which he talked about in his book. This process is not an investment, but certainly can involve investments. And so as we, over the last 10, 12 years, have been helping people implement this, we continue to do that as a foundational piece for someone building infrastructure, so that they can understand with their money, where is it going? Is it going to places that is benefiting me, or places where I can access it, right? To figure out, well, how can we use whole life insurance in a very specific way as a product to be used to implement the process of becoming your own banker. And so we help people understand that product, that process, orient their cash flows, and then set up a system to where they can remove their mental calories of wrestling with their budget or lack of a budget, to where they can set up the system to now spend their energy doing what JD was talking about, which is spending time becoming a better investor. I think that's a huge key piece.
Well, but I'm gonna question you a little bit there, Ern. So the fact that you set up these whole life insurance policies into these systems, I mean, Northwestern Mutual is in my neighborhood. Why wouldn't I just go down the street and work with them? Like, how does Wealth Without Wall Street allow me to get there faster just by working with you?
Yeah, well, I will say you can do that. We've talked to people who do that. But I would say a key reason of why you would work with someone in Wealth Without Wall Street is because I'm personally doing this at a very high level. This is where 100% of my money goes outside of my monthly expenses into the system and through the system. So I'm doing it. As a team, we're all using this. And as a community, we're helping other people to use this. So if you want to go down the street to your local guy or somebody you went to college with and set up an insurance policy, that's awesome. You probably won't have many engaging conversations around how to improve upon that. But if you want to do this with people who are a decade ahead of you in doing this, and around thousands of people who have their own experiences using this and be able to share in that with others, maybe you should do this with a community like that.
Well, now I'm just going to piggyback before I ask you, Jamie, to add to this how we help people get there faster. But there is something to be said about the actual product versus the process. And we've probably said this before on the podcast, but I just want to iterate this a little bit further. Owning a product like life insurance does not give you the guide to become financially free. I'm going to say that again, because sometimes when we start to learn about this process, we hone in on the wrong part of it. We say, oh, it's life insurance. I know somebody that sells life insurance. Maybe I'll just work with them. I feel bad if I don't work with them. And the reality of it is you only get the guidance from somebody who has the experience and the actual implementation of that. Okay. So what questions should you be asking somebody if they're the right guide for this? Russ, I want you to pipe in on that before we get Jamie in.
Well, just here's an example, right? So excuse me for being the guy with the crazy chainsaw massacre happening in the background. It sounds like, right? Like this is scary Halloween movie going on behind me. But just a perfect analogy to what you're saying there, Joey. How many people do you know who potentially own a chainsaw? There's a, like you went into Out of 10 garages, you probably have 3 or 4 people who have a chainsaw. How many of those people would you let cut down a 5,000-pound oak tree that's over the top of your house?
Very few.
Right. So the tool that is being used right now to cut down all of these oak trees that are blocking my internet, which I'm so hopeful that it's going to help, and I will
Amen.
look better than his internet did as he started this podcast. I am so grateful to find someone who actually knows how to do it. Like, if you could see all of the, you don't have to be challenged to whether or not this person knows what they're doing. One, they come geared up. Like, this guy is like in full cutting down tree gear. I've never even seen it before. I was like, man, this guy's sponsored. And but he brings a tractor. He's got winches. He's got ropes and chains, and he's got a truck with about, no joke, like 15 different chainsaws on it. It's like one for like every size tree and opportunity. I mean, it's just crazy. You see this guy and you're like, yeah, that dude knows what he's doing, right? As compared to if the guy showed up in a normal 1500 Silverado with one chainsaw and a pair of cutoff jean shorts. You get where I'm going here, right? Like, it just doesn't mean that I'm going to let him cut down a tree over the top of my house.
Did he cut the jeans with his chainsaw? I just need to know.
All right,
Are you talking about my jorts? Are you talking about my jorts personally?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, JD.
No,
JD, your jorts aren't even cutoffs, bro.
listen.
I'm
Listen.
not letting you cut down that tree just because you
Golly.
get a chainsaw. And so I would say the same exact thing, right? Like, if I sat down with any one of you, I know that I would be able to see the number of life insurance policies that you've been building because you built this system. I could have a conversation to you about the different investments that you've made through the use of them. And you could really quickly, with almost any question I asked you, be able to specifically tell me how you did it. It wouldn't be a theoretical idea of what is possible, which I think is so oftentimes. I mean, Joey, you and I have built up a BS meter that's pretty stout at this point, because in the podcasting world, we have lots of people who want to be on our podcast, and we'll start asking them about the investments and the things that they want to share, and they'll start talking about it. And a lot of it's super cool. But what's the question we ask immediately after they tell us about their cool idea?
How much passive income do you have from fill in the blank niche that you're talking about?
And when you hear, well, we used to do that. And actually, I've just been kind of like spending my last, 5 years or 10 years or whatever, really just getting out there and getting the word out. And I haven't really spent a whole lot of time on that. What do we tell them?
Kick rocks.
Right. I mean, because we want to deal with people who are doing it. Right. I'm
That's
okay
right.
if you've built a program, you built a community, you built a coaching platform. Right. I mean, why did we do that? Because, hey, we were already doing it. It was already in the path of what we were doing.
Right.
But if that's the only way that you've built income, just because you got a chainsaw and a pair of cutoff jean shorts does not give you the right to cut down a tree in my backyard. All right, moving on to you, Jamie. Talk a little bit about what's one other way that we help people who want to become financially free get there faster.
Well, before I dig into that, as a Florida Gator fan, I feel attacked right now. So I just want to make that statement here on the podcast live in front of everyone. Also, Talladega's right around the corner. So what's wrong with jean shorts? I mean, come on. Let's go.
If you have a pair of jorts, you don't have the right to cut down the tree, but you do have the right to be a Gator.
There we go. I appreciate that.
I agree with that. As a
that.
Georgia fan, I can agree with that.
All right, back on topic. The next way we help people is to build passive income, right? I already talked about controlling our finances, putting it in, the whole life policies in our infinite banking system, and controlling the capital. I think we've probably said this a million times. If we said it once, is that what's the number one hurdle to financial freedom? Anybody want to help me out?
Lack of access to cash.
Lack of access to cash, right? So we've got to control that cash, get it somewhere where we understand it, we can control it, we can put it out into the world and bring passive income back. JD talked about investor DNA. Who are you as a person? What investment even makes sense for you to go after, right? We need to know what we're chasing. We need to know how it fits who we are in order to go and build it, and then how do we help people build passive income? Joey hit on this earlier. The motor, Wealth Without Wall Street, people come into our world, they get access to money because they're controlling their own cash flow system, right? Opportunity, just by being a part of our community, and especially in those upper level masterminds, the amount of people who are doing an amazing amount of things, just access to those ideas will allow you to go in directions that either one you didn't know about or you didn't know would be a good fit to you. And then events like our Inner Circle Live coming up next week. We have 7, 8 speakers that are coming to talk about specific different passive income ideas. I mean, what a great opportunity to come and get educated, or at least get a base education to understand, do I want to dig deeper into this, to go out and educate yourself further to pursue those ideas. I tell people all the time, I can't do the work for you, but we definitely can give you enough ideas where if you're interested in 1, 2, or 3, that you'll be able to, 1, have access to resources, access to opportunity, and access to deals if you want them.
So good. So good. All right. Let's jump on. I know we're going long here. This is shocking, something that we're passionate about talking about, since it's how does Wealth Without Wall Street help me become financially free faster? Every single Monday, Joey, we get together and we share as a team what we believe. Would you rattle that off really quickly for everyone? I think it's important for us to let the world know what is it that we believe as a company.
Absolutely. So this is our creed. We believe that taking control over our finances will lead to greater prosperity and a more stress-free way of life. We know the formula for financial freedom is easy, but the work to accomplish it is hard. We pursue long-lasting relationships based on mutual respect. We believe in doing what we say we are going to do. We practice what we preach. We show up grateful, not greedy. We admit when we are wrong. We are proactive in learning and gaining understanding. We believe in abundance and sharing with our industry. We challenge the conventional wisdom of our industry. We embrace new technologies that allow us to better communicate with our clients. We enjoy work and make it fun, and we are driven by truth, even when it's not popular. And the thing that kind of stands out to me in this is that we believe that taking control of our finances will lead to greater prosperity and a more stress-free way of life. I think at the end of the day, being in a position, and this is just from my own personal story, when I was abdicating the responsibility of my own finances to somebody else, that was not a good place to be. It provided more stress, not less stress. And it also put me in a position where there's too many variables and too many unknowns. Whenever I understood that I could take control and that actually I was the best one suited to be the steward of the finances I was blessed with, everything changed, right? And then realizing that the formula was there for me to follow, that's the whole reason that Russ and I started this whole company. Is what we're beggars trying to teach other beggars where to find the bread. We didn't figure this out to hold it to ourselves. We want to share it with everybody else and give them the exact pathway that we busted our knees on, and just say, look, here's the pathway, and we know the way to get there. So anyways, I think that's what stands out to me.
I love that. Ernie, what about for you? What point on that creed really speaks to you?
Yeah. Well, when we read it every week, a few of them stand out to me more than others. But one that I really like is, and that I focus on, is we believe in building long-lasting relationships based upon mutual respect. And I think that says a lot about our company, but I think it also says a lot about our industry. And that when we talk about financial products, which is what we get on Wall Street, right? It's very transactional, right? You come to me and I give you this, and you go away mad, happy, sad, pick your emotion, hopefully better than worse, but it's transactional. And as a community, as a company, we want to build momentum in each other's lives by being consistent. So I just think about pretty often, and this probably speaks to my lack of ability to communicate this, but whenever we're done helping someone set up their personal cash flow system or get oriented on building passive income, or through a coaching process on becoming a better investor, the conversation often is, well, where do we go from here? Right? And I love the fact that every week in our community, there's a weekly opportunity to engage. And in our masterminds, there's an opportunity up to 10 times a month to get training and support and access to our community members. Not to mention, in the community, you post anytime you want and comment anytime you want. And so this is, for me, when I look to meet people, whether I'm the one in the position being able to help, or if I'm out there looking for help and support for things that I'm doing, I'm looking for long-lasting relationships. And if we're in alignment, if there's mutual respect, we're all going to benefit from this, right? So if we suffer from lack of access to cash, if we suffer from lack of confidence in making financial decisions, lack of opportunities, right? Well, I think we also lack the last one in our motor, which is lack of relationships, right? I heard someone say, I thought this was amazing mindset. Someone who had a deal go bad recently, and they had to, unfortunately didn't lose money, but chose not to make the investment. And looking for the next thing, she said, I just haven't met the person who's going to open the opportunity for me, right? And so we believe that knowledge is power. Well, no, access is power, as one of our masterminds has said. And so do we have the relationships that are opening the doors to get knowledge? And so that's why I just love that we have in our creed just this piece about building long-lasting relationships.
That's so good.
If you've listened to our show for any length of time, you've heard us talk about infinite banking and how we are able to use that concept to create over $50,000 a month in passive income. But it's just not that easy to figure out, how does this all connect into my own personal system?
Stallion, that's why we created the passive income operating system, bro. It shows you how to turn active income into passive income. It makes all the steps come together. If you would like to get access to it as a podcast listener, we've never given this away in public before. Go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/PIOS.
JD, how about for you?
So I love to challenge things, and I love to be challenged. And so the one that stands out to me is we challenge the conventional wisdom of our industry. And what it reminds me of is I was grateful many years ago to have someone challenge me in my life and in my walk with the Lord. And it was through that moment of being introduced to the gospel that my life changed. And I think in a lot of ways, we get a chance to help people in their financial freedom journey stop going down the as the Bible says, the road that is broad and wide that leads to destruction, right? Which would be financial destruction. But many enter through it, which is why you can literally Google right now, retirement crisis in America, and you will find no shortage of articles written out there about how terrible the current model and the method of financial freedom or retirement planning in America, how it's failed the average consumer. But in the Bible, it says, but small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life. And I just think that the path and the message that we teach people, not many are going to get on it, right? But the ones that do actually are able to find what it is that they're looking for, which is more time with their family. They're able to find more significance, right? They're able to find financial freedom faster. They're able to stop striving for the things that they want. And so for me, I think it's our ability to challenge the conventional wisdom and teach people that there is a better way, and to help show them what that pathway is.
I love that. Every bit of that. Jamie, how about for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, both those are great. I mean, there's so many good points here in the creed. The one, we work with people nationwide, some international clients as well. And the one that just sticks out to me is the economy. I feel like we were grown up in wants an easy button, right? For everything. And so the one is, we know the formula for financial freedom is easy, but the work to accomplish it is hard. Like, I think that's so important to understand that if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? There's going to be work you're going to have to put into this, whether that's just understanding who you are, exploring and getting educated on passive income streams, whatever that is, it's going to take work. Again, I can't do it for you. However, we can put you in a room of people who are all doing it at a very high level, right? Which is going to help you go faster. It's going to help you avoid pitfalls along the way. So I love that one.
No, that's really good. One of the things that connects to me is that we practice what we preach. And I go on podcasts all the time. I know Joey does as well. And we get a common question when we're being interviewed is, why would you just be so transparent with what you're doing? Why would you share your passive income report every single month where everybody can analyze it and see what you're doing for better or for worse? And for us, it's accountability. Like it is one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to actually do it and to share it. But also selfishly, it's a way to grow it, because one of our mentors says, what you track grows, but what you track and report on grows exponentially. And we want to practice what we preach because we know it's only going to improve what we're doing personally. And I'm just like you. I'm trying to become financially free. I'm trying to get there faster. I'm trying to create generational wealth. And for me, being able to talk about this and to show it on a daily basis while I'm doing it is improving my life. And I don't want to be the cobbler with, the kids with no shoes, or the mechanic with, broken down cars, the financial person who is just broke. And I think too oftentimes we see that in our industry, that there's a lot of financial professionals out there that don't have the money to invest in the things they're telling you about, and aren't investing in the things that they're telling you about. And I just did not want that to be the pathway that we went. I know we have to wrap up here. We've gone a little bit long. Joey, you want to give us a final thought?
Well, first of all, don't allow somebody with cut off jean shorts to cut down your tree. Okay.
Amen.
Whether they have a chainsaw or not, just don't do it. Hopefully what this has done is provided exposure and enlightenment to what is our process. How do we help you become financially free faster? And if that's the case, if you're ready to take that action step, get on a call with one of these coaches, wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/free call, and figure out what your right next thing is so that you can get on this path as soon as possible. The time is of the essence, as Jamie led off with. We are not promised tomorrow. And to be honest, you're called as a steward of the money that you have to be optimized, to be as efficient as you can, and see where that leads. And so that's my 2 cents.
Well, this is great. Coaches, thank you so much. Every week we get a chance to sit around this round table, even though today is virtual, and pontificate about things that we find interesting. And I hope as you're listening to this, either in the car, on the treadmill, or at home, that there was something in here that spoke to you, something that helped you get one step closer to clarity, one step closer to what your right next thing should be. But maybe it was something that you recognized in this that you need to share with someone else. And please do not be a cul-de-sac of information. Pass this information along. Take time to rate and review the show. That's how others find it. Even when you're not sending it, they find it because now we're ranking higher. Even though we're in the top 1% of all podcasts out there, we want to be in the top 1% of 1% of all podcasts out there, because we want to be able to help more people find financial freedom just like you are. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing day.
This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your own terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.